do
was
it.
gonna do
I don't
it.
know if she can do it automatic.
It's on now. It's on now.
It is not, it is on?
Uh-huh.
Buttons up.
And that camera's, we
Make sure
gotta
the
wait for you to
buttons
start?
are Up.
Hello.
That's part of the sign issue.
Okay.
That was the one we gave the purchase order to do the repairs. I'll look over your other list, but I asked this morning, I said, where are you guys? He said, no, we're supposed to start Tuesday, but now it's gonna be Thursday.
Okay.
But that's, if you turn, you'll see the list of the ones they're working on. The ones like broken bases and then
Okay.
need to be pulled out.
Yeah, I forgot to send pictures till today. I was like, okay, get them in there.
Okay, it helps.
Okay.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna call this meeting to order. This is the Stoneybrook Advisory Committee meeting. It is Wednesday, March 11th at 3:02. Everyone is present is myself, JT Thomas, Janice Lancaster, Virginia Stacy, Tom Roller, Warren Davis, and Angela Sullivan. Joe McCalka is absent, and he will probably be a little late due to an appointment that he had scheduled. All right, call to order, roll call. All right, review and approved February 12th, 2020 minutes. You guys see the draft for the meetings for February 12th? Give you guys some time to take a look at it.
Move to approve it.
Second.
I read it before.
I did too. It was on.
It's online. Yeah, it's online.
There's a motion on the table made by Warren to approve the minutes, seconded by Janice, no, Virginia. And all in favor of approving the minutes? All aye. Any opposed? None, minutes are approved. All right, I'm gonna skip number 3 because that's something that Joe wants to talk about. We're gonna go to 4, estimates of pressure washer of all sidewalks. And I don't even have that with me. I believe Joe might have that. Do you guys have anything in your packets for the
No.
sidewalks?
No.
That was, the question had been to, for the advisory committee to recommend to the Gateway to power wash all the sidewalks in Stoneybrook.
So Joe never got the estimates. We're just talking about.
No, we don't have
Okay,
estimates.
so I know exactly what this is for.
And
It's come to our understanding that, as the board, that we might be needing to move forward and start getting estimates to pressure wash all the sidewalks in our community, the ones that are maintained by the district. I would say all the swells, all the gutters, and then also I would assume the sidewalks, or not the sidewalks, but the gutters and the lip around the cul-de-sacs, because I don't think those have ever been pressure washed. So we're looking at possibly a possibility of getting 3 bids, to finding out how much that would cost to be placed in our budget for this year, or for next year, in the 004 account.
Is
I
this
think
something we
that-
plan to do once a year?
This might be a 2-year because of how dirty it gets. Maybe not the swells, but definitely the sidewalks.
in looking at what we paid this last year for the sidewalks on Pebblebrook, that cost was $26.83 for roughly 9/10 of a
9/10.
mile. As you figure that out, and just based on 5 miles of
Sidewalks.
sidewalk, you're talking over $21,000, and by the time you add in the other things, you're gonna be close to $25,000 to $30,000 on the thing. So I think that's one thing, and that would be, at $21,000, that'd be $251
Per door.
per door. No.
No, more than that.
No, that's wrong. I used the wrong number. 778 times 21, yeah, so it'd be less than that, but it would still be expensive, especially if it gets up into the 30 and 40,000, if you're gonna be doing
Twice a
the
year.
gutters and everything.
I think when I looked at the estimate at around 40-ish, I think we were looking at, was it 27 or 20 or $38 a square, a household? Does that sound about
Somewhere in
right?
that neighborhood, yeah. I was working on stuff for the villas, and I kept using the same number. 84 sticks in my mind terribly.
So this came up in our community, so I started looking into it.
At $27 at that rate.
At that rate.
Yeah, it's 80 cents a foot was what he was charging before, so, and that's on 5 miles of sidewalk. then
And that's
you have
only
this-
one bid though, we'd still have to get 2 more for this job.
Well, yeah, well, that's just estimate from what I took from the last bid, still have to get the
He's
bids. to do it.
guesstimating from what was done,
Right.
not an actual bid, so we still
Yeah,
officially
yeah,
have to get 3
yeah.
bids.
Yeah, this just gives us an idea about what it's gonna cost.
But
It's probably
we're-
gonna be more than that.
We're gonna need to get this done soon to start budgeting for next year though, because we'll start working on the budget in May for the 004.
So do we have to vote to move forward to at least get 3 bids now, or is the 3 bids already being worked on?
No.
No, we're gonna have to vote to move,
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna have to vote
We
to
haven't
pretty
had
much,
a motion
to
do
move
that.
forward on that one. Once we do that, then we can always take it to the board. I mean, we're gonna miss the proxy this year, but we can always take it to the community and vote on to it also for the next year's proxy, if the community wants to go ahead and change, our docs and make it pretty much to read it more clearly, and let the community decide, could the community clean the sidewalks in front of the homes, or leave it in the tax amount for the 004 and just have the district to handle it. So,
They
And
would
then
have-
what's the difference in explaining to a homeowner that there's a maintenance that we're responsible for, or Gateway Services is responsible for, and the homeowner is responsible for cleaning and maintenance? That's somewhere in our documents that,
so in the documents, the
Which
way the
confuse
interpretation is,
people.
the way I read it, I believe it was 5.10 about pretty much cleaning the sidewalks, from stains, oils and debris. And then the maintenance was on the CDD, which was if the sidewalk lifted, cracked, they would come out and maintenance. Some board members feel that's the way it was read, the interpretation, others feel different. So right now with, just.
the maintenance is more of repairs, not.
Maintenance is for
Not
repairs.
any cleaning at
Correct.
any level, okay?
So like when
But
we
people
came down,
misinterpret
when we
that.
came down and grinded all the sidewalks that lifted up from just roots and stuff, maybe about 2 or 3 months ago, or maybe longer than that, that came out of the 004. So when Chris does a repair, when they do a repair for that $2,500, that came out of the 004. So this is just something that we gotta look into. I still think it needs to also be brought up to the board, our HOA in the Stoneybrook, to see how the community is gonna react to this. Cause we start raising the taxes on the community, $30 a household, it's gonna be.
That's why I think we need to get a fairly good estimate or proposal so we can figure out what the cost, because $27 don't seem like that much. But when you add in the curbing,
Right, yeah.
gutters and all that stuff, and it's probably, I think it's more than 5 miles, I think it's closer to 6 miles of
Of all that.
6 to 7. So by the time you do that, and then you add the gutters and all
Well,
the other stuff.
you've only done the sidewalks going down. You start doing the gutters, you're talking both sides.
Yeah, both sides, yeah.
So it could get a lot more, but I'm not sure if those things have ever been cleaned.
No, well, they take the street cleaner around
Right.
once in a while, and maybe we need to recommend that they, at least for the gutters, to just have the street cleaner. I don't know how much it costs to have the street cleaner.
That doesn't clean any stains on it.
No.
No, it just picks up the dirt. and
I think
stuff.
the gutters and the swells, I don't think we need to do those twice a year. I mean, that could be an every other year
Yeah,
job.
Yeah.
But the sidewalks is what we really need to pay more attention to.
Yeah,
Why
that-
isn't the homeowner responsible?
The
Other-
way our interpretation of the docs, that's the way the majority of boards was always interpreting that.
Other communities, the homeowner's responsible for that.
for the cleaning of them, just to keep them clean.
Right, just to
That's
keep
the-
'em clean.
Yeah. But, for the maintenance itself, because I know we've done a couple on Bluestone. Gateway has done that, a couple on Bluestone, they had some repairs that they've done. And that's lifting the sidewalk, or
Right.
putting new sidewalk in or whatever, they've done that on Pebblebrook. But when you get on the side roads there, to me, it's like up north. When the snow flies, it's the homeowner that cleans the sidewalk, not the city. And they're required to keep it clean. And the city would come out if you had busted up sidewalks, they'd come
Right.
out and do that. Most people took care of their own because of the pain going through the city. But still, I just, I hear these people talk and I think maybe that's a new way of thinking. let somebody else do it.
I mean, even if we do have to do this and the CDD maintains it and starts cleaning it, out of the 004, I'm still gonna clean my sidewalk because I wanted to match my driveway.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I
And
mean,
those of us who don't have a sidewalk,
You're
I
gonna,
clean my
you're gonna, you're
sidewalk
gonna,
every
you're
day.
gonna, you're gonna be paying for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's ridiculous.
That's not fair.
We got 82 homes?
Hey, what,
84.
Well, it's half
Oh,
the,
yeah,
it's
84
half
doors,
it's half the community plus the 84 in the villas.
Yeah, but
and
got
we already
84
take
that
care of our
don't have a
gutters and
sidewalk.
stuff too. We do that, every year.
Right.
We clean
It's
the
the same
gutters
as
and-
if someone lives on a lake or doesn't live on a lake, but everybody has the right to
Or
walk
we,
on the
and we,
sidewalk,
or
so
we bring this,
we all
or
own
we
the
bring this to the
sidewalk.
board the following
Somewhere.
year and we change the way our docs are written to make it read a lot better.
I think
So
it's a
so it's
great-
not an interpretation,
Why
it's,
do we
it's,
have to do everybody's sidewalk? I mean, I think it's up to the homeowner.
it's,
We have to
the way
maintain
the way our docs read in 5.10, that's the way I read it.
All of a
Which way?
sudden, we're gonna
So-
start doing this and not
What?
before?
That the homeowner's responsible for
Oh,
cleaning
okay.
the sidewalk.
So if we get 3 bids, to move forward, it would still have to go through the HOA to approve it, and you would have to do
No,
proxies.
No,
This
but
is the
CDD.
advisory approval to the chair, to the district, the supervisors.
So if you get the 3 bids and you think, oh,
And
this
then
is a
we'd have
great
to, and then
option,
we'd have to apply this to our budget for next year.
Yeah.
but you'd still have to change the documents, and the homeowners would need to be
No,
aware of
if-
that.
That's something that we need to bring up as an association, me being on it, to bring up to the association for the, like, if this came up 4 or 5 months ago,
Yeah.
we could have probably fixed it before then.
And it's.
But it was brought up.
It comes up every year,
It was brought up about 2 months ago, maybe even less than that. So it was just too late to do anything on the epoxy,
yeah.
to change our docs.
And I think that's
We
one of
haven't
the.
done it all these years, why are we going to open up a can of worms?
Because all it takes is one person. Just like the one person who complained about the lake banks
Yeah.
and cost the
On one
gateway,
lake.
and cost the lake, and cost the gateway server, it cost the district 20 million?
Well, that's what the current loan is, 20
Yeah.
million, but
Well,
they're probably gonna go more than that.
I don't think it cost anything to get 3 bids, and I think
No,
it's a
no.
great idea to move forward, because then you have answers to be able to educate yourself and also tell homeowners, this is an option that we did at least look into, and that this could cost you more on your taxes in the future, just to at least get the ball rolling to see.
Yeah.
But I think that there are so many people that are confused about cleaning and maintaining the sidewalks, at least you're taking a step forward to go, oh, this is what it's gonna cost you, if you don't wanna do
There's
it.
any confusion at all.
There's
Everybody is
people-
There's a lot,
I agree.
there's a lot of confusion, there really is.
There's a lot of
It's been
people
my
that are
understanding since
confused.
the day I moved in here that I cleaned my own sidewalks. There's no confusion.
There's a lot of
Every
confusion.
other-
The people are just making stuff up.
It's the
They're
way,
not
it's
confused.
the
They're
way,
just making stuff
it's the
up.
way
They're
they interpret
interpreting
the
and reading
docs.
it a specific way, and I've even tried to
So
tell
another
people
way
Why
we-
are we
cleaning
doing
and
this
maintenance.
if the board hasn't asked us to do it?
So we
Because
have
it's,
to
because the
wait.
sidewalks is the CDD's property.
Because this isn't a
That's my
board,
fault. That's-
Who has brought it to us as an issue?
Residents.
Directly to us without going through the board?
Directed, I know it's brought up to me, and the board is
I
aware
don't
of it.
think we-
I've been asked by neighbors, but I don't have an official
The,
letter
the board's
requesting
aware of it, and that's why we
to do
needed to
this.
bring it up here, that's why it's on this. The other way around it is, the reason why we wait till the bit for the election to send out proxies, because it's about $3,000 to send out a proxy to the residents. You know, if we wanted to jumpstart this and do this before the budget, we could send out a special proxy just for the sidewalks.
I
But we
don't
tr-
recall this being discussed at any board meeting that I've been to. Has it?
It's been discussed in legal meetings,
But not at a board meeting.
it's a legal meeting. So,
So, we have to wait to hear something from our HOA, or,
I think you should take all the loop off then. Take our 84 doors off, because we have no sidewalks. Why should we be paying for every?
I don't want our taxes to go up. I'll clean my own. So,
I clean mine 3 times a year.
I clean mine about
I mean-
twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been here 15 years and this has never come up, and now all of a sudden
Never,
there's a
ever.
discussion, it's crazy.
Yeah.
but there are, new homeowners that weren't here
Well,
15
tough
years
Tell
ago.
them to shut up and
No,
stop it.
I don't
All right, so
tell
we're
people
gonna
to shut
we're
up.
gonna
I
move
try to
forward and at least get some
listen to
estimates.
people's ideas and complaints.
Do you guys gonna agree on at least getting some estimates to see
No.
where we're at?
No.
No,
I'll make I'll do a motion and vote, but let's just make it formal for now. So,
You gotta vote
I
here.
think we should just get one estimate from
from community maintenance,
maintenance, and and he would know, he would probably give us something pretty quick on that. And it needs to be addressed to the HOA to see if they wanna recommend to us
Are
to
you
do
making
that.
a motion?
Next, you're gonna have everybody trimming their trees for them because they can't cut their own trees.
Or mowing their lawns.
No,
you wanna make a
I'm
motion?
not in favor.
I make a motion to have community, cleaners give us a estimate of what it would cost to do that.
I'll second it. All in favor?
No.
Aye.
No.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed?
3-3. Fails.
All right.
Can I make a suggestion for upcoming board of directors meetings? That I do think, because of what I've seen, heard, and talked face-to-face to homeowners about, there is confusion on some homeowners, and maybe they're just new homeowners. But I think it needs to be brought up at one of the meetings, maybe some type of a clarification.
This committee doesn't do that.
Specific
If
email.
you wanna do that, you can do that, but there's not, this committee's not gonna go down there and ask them to bring it up, give it back to us.
Okay.
So why don't you do that?
Yeah, we're only here to advise.
Gateway.
All right, sign request, number 5. Any idea what, there's an email, there's a sheet here
No.
for signs. Is this the speed limits?
Well, I decided after waiting 6 months to get anything done on the list of all the signs that I was told to document, that I just actually sent this today. It was the 2 that we've talked numerous times about on Gemstone, the 2 speed limit signs, there should only be 1 there. So I sent in the request to customer service department versus handling it directly with someone here. And then I made a second separate request, thinking I'm gonna make this as easy and clear for somebody as possible. The other one was the sign at the clubhouse exit, the stop sign. And then I separated to, the other request was the sign that's been leaning, speed limit sign that's been leaning for over 6 months on Pebblebrook. So supposedly, the information that I put before, until I actually do this, I guess now it's put on a list. So I just got handed from Chris, did you guys get this?
Well, I heard about it, that they were gonna start tomorrow.
So, and I put in there, I didn't know if it needs to be like discussed, approved, reviewed by the Stoneybrook Advisory Committee, that I guess he's given like a breakdown on like one specific sign. So I just wasn't sure if that's the only place we could get a quote from, and we could get another quote. I just thought,
This is blue
one
sign.
particular sign costing $3,000, if I'm reading that right.
Do they even not do this?
Oh, they just have replacement
Is this,
here.
Angela, that sign out here, this picture, where is that at?
That's the lean, as soon as you come into the community on the right,
So this is,
just past.
this is on Pebblebrook.
Yes, just past the, on the right, just past going through Gemstone. Today, I was on Greenstone coming back, and there's one,
Do they not clean that, or? I thought they did.
that's what I'm just
Or did they
trying to figure out.
strictly-
Nobody even says who's
This is your
responsible.
breakdown here, the 105 is how much it's gonna cost to get these different ones.
Right.
That's what comes out to 3750, so that's what they're gonna do, that's what
Okay.
they're gonna do. All this
When I
stuff is
glanced
on
at
there.
it, I thought it was the one that I was bringing up about the actual
Yeah,
stop
that's the
sign
one
at the
they're gonna do,
clubhouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we need to make sure, while they're doing that, to make sure the signs from the ground to the bottom are at least 7 feet and not more than 8 feet.
Correct, and the one that's at the clubhouse is not the right height in the first place.
No.
But that's what we voted on last month, so where are we at on that? We were supposed to be able to get someone from Department of Transportation that was gonna come out, right? And tell us about heights of the signs last month.
That's my knowledge.
What did we talk about?
Because we talked about them and stuff.
To make sure they were the right
what it
height.
was, it was the guy that was gonna do the repairs, the repairs that we had approved.
Yeah.
He has the ability to check all the signs
Yeah, he
and
needs to
make
check
sure.
just the height of the sign. All
Right.
the sign sizes are fine, as as
It's
far
just
as.
the height.
It's the
It's
height.
just the height right now that we need to.
And then he had the
Correct.
ability to actually change those heights
Yeah.
too?
Yeah, well, he has, I'm not sure what all the stuff is on here, but this is a breakdown of what he's gonna do for the 3750. And how much it's gonna cost for each individual thing.
Right, but you physically have to go out and look at every one of these to go, oh yeah, I approve that one, or I think that's a good idea.
Well,
And-
it's all gonna get done. That's what.
Yeah, that's the bid.
Work order is, and all those are supposed to get done. All on that list.
How much
I
is it?
don't know how that coincides with your list, I didn't match that, but that's
How much is that list?
This, oh, you didn't see this one?
3750.
Is this your copy? There you go.
Yeah, didn't get that. Did you get that?
No,
No.
Those are
Oh,
the ones
it
that
was
we
put,
kinda-
it was put right here.
Oh, you know what?
From-
Joe might have a little pile of stuff that.
It was put in front of
Well,
mine.
here's pictures and stuff. I don't-
Yeah, it was probably.
That's my email today.
Oh,
Because
okay, okay.
nothing was
It was
being really
Joe's.
like done.
Okay,
and I'm
yeah,
Let me
like,
see if I can get these
let's-
printed
let's
for
do
everyone
one
else.
sign at a time. I did separate emails to make sure, okay.
But that, it.
Who doesn't have a copy of this? All right,
I
I'm gonna
don't
get.
have a copy of it.
I'm gonna get 5 of them printed
so
real quick.
we need 4.
Four? Well, I don't have one, I have.
These were your emails.
One,
I thought.
2, 3, 4 then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all the ones that they're going to do, so you might want to check your list to see which ones are.
See, my list is at home, my main
Yeah,
list.
well, that's fine. That's, you know,
I'm like,
that's,
okay.
because we know about how much it's gonna cost now. If there's other ones on there, we just have to perhaps, amend the work order
Yeah.
to include those.
I mean, even like, trying to spend $395 on a broken base, if it wasn't something that was covered under warranty, I wasn't real interested in doing that. I just wanted them painted green.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's where I
there's some-
thought we needed to tell them, just paint these 6 instead of
no,
spending $1,000.
They got one
Why
Stone
can't they
Valley.
be fixed and subtracted from our payment to get the
Stone
main
Valley
stage?
Pebble, yeah, that's the one.
That's.
reset.
They're supposed to be looking at that.
Reset. That's
I
gonna
mean, how
have to
many
be
months
Th-
have we
I know
been
this
talking
means-
about?
And Mainscape still has a contract in this area,
That's wrong.
so they're still working on our. They're still
I'm not-
working on
I'm
our
not
on our
involved
property.
in that.
Well, no, that's the sign, whatever the sign is.
That's not
on
what I
Jim's-
said.
Oh, well,
It's 2 speed limit signs.
it says reset, I don't know.
So guess what? There's already a mistake.
Yeah.
Just call it, but.
It is 3:24, and Joe McCulca has arrived. So we went through 1, 4, and now we're on number 5 and 2. We skipped number 3 for you, the land swap.
And they're making copies of this now, right?
We took a vote for the pressure washing of the sidewalks.
All right, and do we have a quote?
No.
Okay, so we're gonna get a quote.
Well, no, we voted not, well, it was a 50-50 vote. 3
Oh.
voted to get a quote, 3 voted
And you
not to
can't
get a
re-vote
quote.
on it now.
Well, because we haven't been asked by the board to do it.
Yeah.
Board wants us to.
No, let's say this, that's not an approval to do the project. It's to have a number to take to the board to aid them in making a decision. And keep this in mind, and this is important, I want to reiterate this. This is a gateway committee, not a Stoneybrook committee. We are made up of Stoneybrook residents. And we make recommendations not to our board usually, but I've always done that. And this committee has a history of doing that. But in reality, our recommendations go to the Board of Supervisors to see what they want to do. But you're right, I would never, and I have never, for some kind of an expenditure like that, gone to,
Well, at least 3 people just didn't want to do it at all.
well, let me say this, and this is what you're probably not aware of, and I don't know if you brought it up or not. And you, about what Darren said,
I said it was a legal discussion. Well,
he's concerned. Let's put it that way.
Darren's
Our
attorney for
community
HOA.
attorney. He's concerned because the way the wording is. So therefore, probably after the election, if we decide not to go ahead and do something, then the community board, the HOA, is going to need to actually make a decision of changing the language in our documents.
Which we discussed that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to make you aware of that. This gets a little bit more complicated
The
than
only
it is.
motion we voted on was the motion to get a proposal to see what it was gonna cost to do it, just one proposal.
Yes, that's correct. I wasn't gonna ask for a bid.
No.
I was looking for a ballpark number, just as a starting place, so that we can take it to the board. And then if they fall out of their chair, we help them back into the chair and say, okay, that's the end of that, you know?
But it was voted down.
Well, it wasn't
It was
approved.
3-3,
Yeah,
was not approved.
okay, that's a little different than voting it down.
And you can't vote on it again.
You can
today.
bring it up, yeah, you can bring it up next time, which delays the process a month. You know,
I
I
disagree.
tried to go through the regular pattern here. I could have just had Shannon call up Harry and just get a ballpark figure from him, but I was trying to do it this way. All right.
Let's just change the documents.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I wanna suggest, put it into the community hand, let the community vote for it.
I've got-
And I guarantee the community is gonna vote against it.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
I'd be, most
So you're
people-
saying change the documents?
I say change the documents.
Okay.
I say let the community vote.
But I think in order to give the community an objective
Oh, yeah, you gotta have
decision-making
the
process,
facts.
you gotta have a
the
number.
facts. You gotta have
Yeah.
the numbers.
You
You
gotta
gotta
have
have, this is where we're at.
All right,
The only number we have now
So-
is about 22,000, but there's other stuff involved in that that we do consider. So we're probably talking.
well, the 22, you're talking about once a year or twice a year?
Once.
And there's the other
That's
thing,
just
there's
those
the other thing I
sidewalks.
brought up, the swells, the gutters,
I
and
know.
also the
When it
cul-de-sacs.
snows, you plow your own driveway and your own sidewalk. You know what? Do the same here. This is
Yeah.
crazy. You just opened
I'm
up
not
a
gonna
can of
disagree
worms.
with you on that one. I think that the issue here, though, is what the documents say.
When was the last time that was
Well, then
cleaned?
change the
Oh, yeah, it's
documents.
nasty. Who is that? Whose house is that?
That's not a house, that's just, that looks like a side road going on to Pebblebrook.
That's correct, but it almost is in front of somebody's house, though.
That might be Bluestone.
Okay.
Are those my pictures?
Well,
Yeah.
in Bluestone,
Yeah.
I would understand, but if it was Bluestone, it should have been cleaned. If that's the road that
Look,
runs
look,
to
look at this,
Bluestone.
look at this picture. This is Pebblebrook. This is Pebblebrook.
If that was that's the
Taken away.
clubhouse.
When did you take these?
Today.
You took these today?
Wait a minute, where are we at? This is the clubhouse.
No, this one right here, this picture right here.
Oh,
The last
that was the
page.
clubhouse, and that hasn't been done. You are correct. That
This
probably
is-
hasn't been done in a long time.
Pebble Brook.
And when
As
was
soon
that,
as you
and when
come
was
in.
that picture taken?
Today.
Okay. Let me say this, the
But-
clubhouse is up to the board, the HOA board. That's not
This
a,
is not the clubhouse.
Yeah, no,
no, but the other one.
I'm just looking at
That's
this
clubhouse.
gutter right here.
Yeah, that's not wonderful. When was the last time we did
We
it?
just did it
Last fall?
5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like 2 months ago.
It's been very recently.
Harry just came out and did the sidewalks.
And we need to talk to Harry.
Yeah, but did he do this?
But
He
that's
was
not-
supposed to. He was supposed to. For $2,500, he was supposed to do the concrete sidewalk in both rain gutters, both sides.
I hear you.
What's that? In both rain gutters.
Maybe we're gonna need to pull that.
I think he did do I think he did do both sides of the gutter.
I thought he did
Not
too.
by this picture.
Oh,
Well-
maybe it's grown back already.
I
And you took that today.
Yeah.
All right. On that one there, we're gonna have to hash that out next month rather. We'll put that back on the agenda. As far as,
Are we still on signs? Because I have a question.
I'm going back to signs.
Gotcha.
That's where I'm heading up, and I have a question for you. Did we ever get an actual invoice of what was done and what we were charged?
No.
This is what the work order is.
supposedly the work order that you
Okay.
have.
What I'd
right
like to
there.
know what was actually done, so that we can review that
That
in
was
fact,
right there.
but
They
that's
haven't
not,
done anything yet.
they haven't done, well, they moved the one parking sign,
He said something about it was supposed to start
a no
Thursday,
parking
tomorrow.
sign. Oh, really?
No.
Chris said when he walked in,
Ah,
but,
okay.
you know, I don't have anything in writing.
Is
That's
this something
what
that
he
we're
said.
gonna hand to Manscaped?
Some of it. Some of it, that's correct. Now, Mainscape is still taking care of the land along Pebblebrook,
The
okay?
Gateway Common areas.
Yeah. So that will still be them, and so we have leverage there. And I talked to Zane via email, and of course, they're feeling bad about losing the contract, and I said, my response to him, and no reason you shouldn't know this, was that Well, just outshine your competition along Pebblebrook, and who knows what might happen in the future. That's the key thing. Do the job.
They haven't started yet.
Okay, so that's my concern about the sign, because it seemed to me some things were done, but some weren't. But I do know that the no parking sign was in fact moved. It was moved over to where we requested it on
Maybe someone
Bluestone.
from Gateway done that, I don't know. I have,
Maybe
this is
so.
the list that they got that's on that work order.
Okay.
I don't remember asking for a no parking sign to be moved. I had
Yes, you
only-
did.
No.
There were two signs on Gemstone.
No,
That's
2 speed limits.
Speed limit. I have pictures.
Oh.
Do you wanna see them?
Yeah.
I took them today, so there's no more confusion right
Okay,
there.
I'm sorry.
Speed limit signs.
It's okay. See, speed limit, now watch this. See the other one back there? It's still there.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, and if somebody pulled up a no parking sign, that was not anything on my list ever.
okay, okay.
So,
Well, correct me, maybe my memory's
and
failing.
it is confusing. When you look at this list, look at this one. It says no street parking. That's why you're confused, because it says it right there on Gemstone. That's incorrect. It's a speed limit sign.
Okay.
There's 2 speed limit signs. That's what is confusing.
Gotcha. Now, but we had a street that was missing a no parking sign, am I correct about
No,
that?
we have a street missing a speed limit sign, Bluestone. It was a suggestion to pick up the extra speed limit sign.
And put it
on
over
Gemstone,
there.
To put it over there. And I actually put that in my email today.
And I think, and
Again.
having that say no parking probably confused
This
everybody.
yeah, but this is
Okay.
not in my emails today, so,
All right, and Chris says that should start tomorrow.
but we need to make sure he knows this is not actually correct. He needs to focus on the 3 emails, because if somebody goes and picks up that no street parking sign, that's wrong.
Want to run in and see if
Move it.
anybody's,
Here, what do you want,
yeah.
Chris?
Well,
And if he's giving.
Vicky or Chris, just because we want to make sure that we don't have a misunderstanding on that list.
And this
Because it
list-
even confused me.
Is already given to Matt, so it's in Matt's hands.
Oh, maybe Matt then.
Between the 2 of them, we need to make sure that is
Stop me.
Hmm?
never,
For Chris.
That's right. One way or another, we'll get a hold of somebody to correct that error.
okay.
We don't want them pulling perfectly good signs out of
Right.
where they are. Now, I do have a question. You're confident that we're good with the signs, right?
I just remeasured some today.
And they're good?
And talked to Steve Jansen at the county this morning,
And,
and he can't give me a definite opinion because they're not on his signs, but he says they all sound good.
okay. And they were put up, how you doing, Chris? Real quick. Apparently, I was confused myself, but on this list of signs to be moved,
Right.
it says no parking sign.
No street parking sign, Jim
But it's
Solomon.
actually
Incorrect.
a speed limit sign.
Okay, I'll have to look
And-
at why it says that, but I don't think we were planning on moving any of the signs, because we looked at moving one, and if you moved it over the other side of the street, it's where the sidewalk is, and it would be hanging over the sidewalk.
Well, no, the problem, I don't think that was the problem. The problem is, we don't have a speed limit sign
On Bluestone, correct.
on Bluestone,
Okay,
but we have 2 of them on Gemstone.
yeah, which your list you handed us today said there's 2, and you could move it to Bluestone.
Right.
And there's pictures.
Right.
Yeah.
So there should be no confusion. My question is, this is already in your hands with your name on it and Matt. And this one here, so 2 people have this list, and if they see that no street parking, I'd hate to find out somebody pulled it and put
Yeah.
it somewhere else. That
It's,
is
the
totally.
issue isn't a no street
confusing.
parking, it's a speed limit sign.
There are no street parking signs on my list other than just to be maintained at the base. There was never one to,
Okay,
Okay, yeah, I'll send an
Or
email
whatever.
over to them as soon as I get out of here.
yeah.
And we're going through that list, some of those are easy fixes, I think one said the stop sign leading out of the clubhouse isn't on a decorative pole.
correct,
We could put it on one, but you guys would pay for it, cause it's not on a district
right.
road.
And that's what I thought would be on this list today, would be the price of that pole, and it's not.
They're anywhere from, depending on the size, but typically about $650.
So do we have a choice of getting numerous bids, or we have to go with one
No,
particular?
we don't need a bid for that.
Yeah, we
Okay.
could, I mean,
Somebody want to make a motion to put a decorative sign on the stop sign at the community?
Well, that's community, that'd be my decision.
But it's actually on
No.
common property. It is.
Chris, is that your responsibility to sign, or that goes to the HOA?
Well, if it's not on the gateway road, like a road sign on roads, but
It'd be-
it isn't, that's
it's on the
not
right of
It
way.
faces, it is within the right of way. I know that factually. But it faces the people leaving the clubhouse.
As an
But
exit.
it is on the right of way. There's no question about it.
Yeah, but it's not a sign for the
For-
roadway, expensive sign for the community center, that's my point.
So who's responsible?
And that's like
Is it
$7.
it's $650 for that sign?
It's the pole is what costs the money, the signs are usually about $300 to $500 depending on
But we
the
have the sign though, right?
We have the sign.
Yeah.
We just need a new pole.
Right.
And if it needs a frame, to put on it. Those decorative, when you see those signs, those decorative poles, they have a frame around them too.
All right, let's take that to the board the next meeting, okay? Maybe you can get them on the agenda.
Get a quote
Those
for it.
decorative poles are running probably over $1,000
Well,
just for the
I mean,
pole.
are we all pretty much in
Well, he
favor?
said 650.
So that's the sign.
That's the pole.
That's the pole.
I'll put it this way, the last quote that we got was, and they were 36 by 36
Okay.
pedestrian crossings.
Mhm.
It was $1,300
For one.
for one, and the sign was about $450 that, the pole, because of the size of it to
Yeah.
hold that sign was almost $900. But a smaller one, a normal one's probably in that $650, $750 range.
Now, as a
Well-
point of discussion, I think, and though to move those poles around or whatever, to knock them down, they're expensive to replace, et cetera. It would, I think it'd behoove us with the number of signs we have to go looking for a different type of sign that if it gets knocked down, it's not gonna cost us $1,000 to get it fixed. Now, we can do this stuff right now.
I'm gonna
but I
take-
think we need to take a look at that because that's a lot of money. And
Let me say this, that really is up to the HOA board then. If you're saying that it's not your purview, then we gotta take it to the board. And then let them make that decision.
Well, but we have all the other signs along Pebblebrook that are under them, that comes under this. And I think if we're gonna be paying that much for poles and signs, whether they get knocked down or they get damaged or we have to replace them or whatever, putting that much money out for a sign,
I mean, there's
when
still-
we can get
I-
other sign poles that are just as good looking or whatever.
I can put on the agenda for this Monday's meeting.
Yeah,
And then Joe
my
can-
point-
And then Joe or yourself can talk about it at that
Yeah,
board meeting.
exactly. My
But we
point
still need a
is, that I don't
price.
think then, from what I hear here, it isn't up to us to make a decision about that sign pole. We could just bring it to them if they, and let the
Well, yeah, as
board,
far as that goes,
the
yeah. but I-
HOA board,
Well,
if
do
they
we-
think
do we
it's
need
worth it.
We're all pretty much all in agreement that we need it though, right?
It is the one pole, but don't forget, we got the pole. Is the one that's up on your street, is that on this list?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that's,
What, the speed limit sign that?
no,
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 the
this
stop
is the
sign.
stop sign and the street sign are on
Yeah.
one pole, sticking up out of the ground and leaning like this. I mean,
About
it's.
that high above where it's
At
supposed
least,
to be.
at least.
And we gotta bring all those signs down so they're minimum of 7 and not more than 8 feet from the ground, the bottom
Okay.
part. And we're pretty good, but I think while we're getting this done, when you do these things, we need to double check these
Yeah.
things.
And how long has that sign been that way?
Ever since the hurricane.
I was saying, I'm saying Irma that got it that
So,
way.
so
No,
with the,
the
Irma?
hurricane did, no, the hurricane took out the stop sign on the other intersection.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
it took it out at our intersection, but they brought the new sign out, they put it over on the other intersection and took the old beat-up sign and put it over on our side where
What,
they were replacing.
what happened is there was confusion because apparently it was the first Stone Valley on Pebblebrook they
Yeah.
came to, was it?
And they replaced
And that's
it and
where they
everything.
did it and didn't realize it came out twice.
And then they brought the old one down and put it there and they couldn't get it all the way in the ground because
Yeah.
it sticks about that high up, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll take.
And the stop sign needs to be replaced too, because it's ugly.
so whoever put that in can come back
Yeah,
and
that-
fix it.
Yeah, right.
That ain't gonna happen.
That sucker is one of the
That
ugliest
was-
signs in our community
Yeah,
by
and
far,
that
it's
was-
nasty.
I think it was a Gateway staff did that, something back in the hurricane time when they were putting them in.
It's possible it was a rush job, yeah.
Since Chris is here, can I also just ask where I had written like broken base? I really never intentionally thought that, oh, we would spend almost $400 on fixing every one of those bases.
If they're along Pebblebrook, we're gonna take those back to, our buddies over there at, Mainscape. We're gonna submit that to Mainscape.
Okay. 'Cause
Because
my-
they're still taking care of that land over there. And they're still hitting stuff. And we gotta make them aware, reinforce that they're gonna pay for it. And they're responsible for that damage.
Who's gonna do that? That's been brought up for the last, every meeting for the last.
Normally, it has been,
Yeah.
normally it has been the CAM. In this particular case, I'll get involved if I have to and make sure it happens.
Well, just to remind you, there are 6 on this list at $395 apiece. It's something that I really wasn't interested in doing. I just thought that, if they look bad, even if they're broken, at Christmas, whatever, 2 years ago, they went and they just painted the base of them. So I just wanted to make sure that we're not voting today to approve that $3,750 to get this like list done. Because you would have to decide, well, only 2 of those are really broken and 4 of those can be painted. Because I don't have my original list to know exactly where these are. This is the quote that we got. You have it, it's right there. Flip it over, 3rd page. Because when I saw that like estimate there, I was like, oh, what is that for?
Are we done with Chris?
Yeah, I think we are.
And we'll start,
You know-
next week, some of this, like that one sign that's leaning over, we can go out and concrete that. We have a maintenance guy start Monday. So
That's why I wasn't sure if that was the responsibility of the company that hit it, the maintenance, the
Mainscape?
grounds company. Someone said that it was their responsibility maybe to fix that, I don't know. I just want somebody
Well,
to fix it.
what's their
30 minutes
responsibility? You're
in.
talking about the cement flumes?
No, the leaning speed limit sign, as soon as you come into the community.
I'm sure they hit it. I'm sure they hit it.
And we actually had a discussion about those flumes, and we're gonna replace those concrete things where we.
Listen, let me,
With asphalt?
So if something
I don't
runs
pay
over
for it if they're
there
gonna
and
fix
a
it.
break, and also that real long flume.
Yeah.
We were looking at putting artificial turf down that.
it's not a bad idea.
Well, that way, you can run over it with a mower and the water will
Yeah,
just.
what about washing out near the top when it comes off the cement to it? How are you gonna
Forget how
attach
they
that?
anchor it in
They
there.
do nail it into something,
Yeah.
tack it down. All right.
Brought over a piece of it for us to take a look at it, and I was like, well, that might be a good idea, because it'll slow the water down like the flume did, but not make it run down and, wash everything out.
If it can work,
Yeah,
it's
it's
all right with
artificial?
me, yeah. Let me ask a really dumb question here. Didn't we vote on this sign issue already? Did we not approve this already?
I think it did like 2 months
That's
ago.
what we
I
got a
thought so
purchase
too.
order.
So,
That's why we got a purchase order.
yeah, so, exactly. So this is a done deal as far as I'm concerned. And what we'll do, and all right, it's expensive, I'm not saying it's not, but our intention is to take those expenses and take them to Mainscape. I'd rather have them fixed right.
When you deal with those aluminum poles fixing or anything to do with them, because of the way you can't weld them, once that bell breaks, that's it. It's not like you can fix it.
Well, and I'll tell you though, I would like to save them, if we can ask them to do that. Of course, there are people who weld aluminum, but it is a special skill and not everybody does it. Maybe we can get that done and then just get them painted up or something. So I'd like to see us hang
My
on to that
father-in-law
if
has
possible.
an aluminum welder,
Oh, yeah?
and he does welding, yeah.
There you
Maybe
go.
it's something that we
That
can
might
take,
be the
send
pole
to
for
him
the parking lot.
and do some small ones, just some small side jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll
All
go
right.
through your list, and by your next.
We'll get the new
meeting,
ones,
we should have-
we'll save the other things and we'll see if we can get them fixed, okay? That'll
Yeah,
be on
I'd
us.
recommend if we're getting new ones,
Yep,
let's save the bottom
yeah,
ones.
okay.
We'll put them in the storage unit.
Yep. Alrighty, everybody all right with that? Because we did vote for this already, I thought so. It wasn't something for today, I think it was more, I had thought that it would have been done by now, maybe that was the problem.
We issued a purchase order a month ago, and I followed up with the meeting, because I said they're gonna want another day, and he said, they were supposed to be out Tuesday, they'll be out tomorrow, so.
Okay.
So do you know which ones come first on the Thursday list?
They might come out and get all of them,
Okay,
'Cause
Tomorrow.
when they do that, pull them out, they put temp signs up while they're working on it.
Gotcha. All right, thank you, Chris.
By the way, the fellow that's the rep for that company lives in Stoneybrook.
Oh, does he?
Does he really?
Oh, yeah, I knew that, yeah. I don't know him, but I've heard that before, right.
So, you hope you
Okay.
have your best interest in mind.
I hope so, yeah, you got that right. Plus, we'll sell Lou over there to check out his property. All right, so committee requests, nobody's here.
Oh,
Next,
yeah, wait, we do have a
I
committee
know.
request.
Oh, we do?
Yes, the email. This was sent over by Kevin Grass, to me this afternoon. He just wanted to get it into the advisory's hands. And then we'll forward the email I'll have this, the advisory, or I'll have the district to send this email to everybody on the district, or on the advisory committee.
Well, some of the things that he has states here are not entirely correct. He says that HOA does not have any direct enforcement capabilities, and that's not true. We have signed an agreement with Gateway Services, and Gateway Services does have the possibility and the ability to call in the Lee County Sheriff's Office as well as the,
Joe, I mean, I
Have
don't know
Tony.
if we have. I mean,
I disagree with that,
Okay.
Joe, unless someone can come up.
I
and show
could
the
have swore I
paperwork.
saw something, and that's why
Gotta
when
show
you
the
told me that we
paperwork.
never had it, I'm shocked.
well,
You gotta show the paperwork, and they don't have anything here, and I don't believe that Shannon has anything there.
I don't,
I've submitted a number of public records for speed, for the enforcement kinds of stuff and the parking, et cetera. And it went through April, it went through Diane.
what specifically are you looking for?
Looking for the information, we have to have something from the county saying that the sheriff can enforce traffic laws in Stoneybrook. That's what we need, according to 316-006-B3.
What about a document that states that the Lee County Sheriff's Office, and this goes way back,
Yep, I know what you're talking about.
that can come into any roads that the district owns?
As long
Any-
as it's been approved by the county before it gets to the sheriff's office. The law is very specific, it has to be approved by the approving authority of the county.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't bring my,
Well, I'm not,
Traffic stuff with
well, then, I'm not gonna respond to this right
Yeah.
now. I'm not sure I agree with that, because I seem to recall having seen something.
well,
And I
if
might
we've
even
seen
have
it,
it in-
someone has to have it. And if
Yeah,
someone has it,
documents.
we need to post it so we can do this, because
Okay.
we need to, if we don't have anything, we need to get the attorney in Gateway. Tony, to contact the county attorney and get this rolling, because it, as it is, all you have to do is read 316-006. I'm sorry I didn't bring copies with me, but it states in there under B3 what you have to do.
So this email would have to be directed to Gateway Services, because we don't have that documentation in front of us.
No, I'm looking, I don't think I have. You know,
I can't respond if I don't have correct documentation. And the last paragraph, that's exactly what he's asking for, is as a resident, I request the committee to engage to get the proper this level of documentation.
I mean, they were going as far as talking about getting like a town hall meeting with,
That get into a shouting match.
Well, if you've got the right documentation in front of you, then you can discuss it properly.
if I'm not mistaken, Joe, there was an email that came over from Tony Pierce that pretty much outlined.
2017,
That outlined
2017 letter.
that we were allowed, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
That's even in his email. First page, second paragraph, right?
This letter states, whether roads are public or private, Stephen Jansen considers them private because they are not owned by Lee County.
Right.
That is correct.
But.
I agree with
public
that.
Meaning,
Yeah,
They're owned by the
the
district.
the county considers our roads private because
They're
the
district.
county does not own or
Correct.
maintain the road. That's the only reason they're private.
Right.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I do know that.
Every time you turn.
When I had a conversation with Stephen, that's exactly
Yeah.
how he explained it.
Okay. 3B, where's 3B? Here we go.
Well, the letter that came from Stephen mentioned about, number one, the development order, and also referred to something else.
I'm trying to do this off memory, but something to do with like we can't enforce, but only Lee County can. Like only like, was it something like that? Did it have anything to do with law enforcement?
No, that's not entirely true. There was a law passed, state statute in 2016 that gave the district, all special districts, the ability to tow cars off their roads owned by the district.
Right.
That was clear and cut, and no doubt about it. They have the right to put up signs. That's why the comment about the signs are legal is
The-
hogwash. But
Section 316.006, 3B, a county may exercise jurisdiction over any private road or roads or over any limited access roads owned or controlled by a special district located in the unincorporated areas within the boundaries of the county.
correct. The key
And
word
it
there
comes
is
down-
may.
Yeah, it may. So, but it's gotta be approved and by a written agreement approved by the governing body of the county for the county traffic control jurisdiction over the road or roads encompassed by such agreement. Pursuant to, then it lists some different things that has to be within the agreement. But that's what we don't have.
That's what you
That-
say, you have not been able to
I
find.
have not been able to get that.
Okay.
Only thing I've been able to get from here is the documentation they get from the sheriff's office every year showing how much it's gonna cost to do things.
Correct, there's more than that, believe me.
Yeah,
I
well-
think the person you may want to contact, if you want to put a request, and maybe somebody here should have done it, was Tony. Because I'm willing to bet you that Tony has it in his office, a copy of it. But I'll check with Margaret on that.
Yeah,
And
because
in
that-
fact, I
that's
may
what
have
it-
something
That's where it
somewhere.
all once they give that approval, and they talk to this, and it comes with budgeting and when it has to be done, et cetera, all these different things that needs to be done. And that puts it on a total legal status by this law. And then it goes back to 316.640, which allows enforcement, but the enforcement aspect says you have to have this under 316B3 or 3B. And if
I mean,
there's
we
something
could-
out there, it's not in this office, and this office should have it. If someone else has it, it should be here, because it's not particularly illegal.
I agree, it should be here.
Yeah,
And who knows what's upstairs in that attic up there?
well, with the amount of stuff and the stuff I got from Tony was about an inch thick and had all the stuff he had, and I could not find anything in there that related anything like this. And now, and just for clarification, Gateway Services can enforce on Gateway Boulevard and Griffin because those are county roads and we're paying off-duty
Detail.
deputies to patrol that, that's fine. And my feeling is if we had this documentation through Gateway Services, then Stoneybrook could use the same idea and pay for off-duty people to work in there based on the fact that the Gateway Services has given approval to enforce traffic laws in Stoneybrook.
It says written agreement approved by the governing body of the county
Yes,
for county traffic control jurisdiction over the road or roads encompassed by such agreement.
right,
And,
right. And then
and I
there's,
agree with all that. I've seen that before. That's why I believe that
yeah,
I mean, I have it, I'm
And-
so used to that I actually have it heavily, yelled in over here.
yeah,
And
I think
And I'm pretty sure that was covered.
when I talked to Steve Jansen this morning, he said, we discussed that, and he said, yeah, you need to get that. He said, now, we don't get involved, because I said, we probably need someone from your office to come out and approve our signs. Yeah, he said, oh, we don't do any of that anymore. We just give it to the county, and the county handles, or the county attorney is the one that handles all that. So.
Yeah,
And I think the only way, I think we discussed earlier, the only way that the HOA should get involved in trying to do this is recommending to the CDD through their board that they get this done so we can get some kind of traffic enforcement inside Stoneybrook.
So I have a question.
Which-
If this letter from this gentleman is sent directly to Stoneybrook Advisory Committee, and we cannot answer his question.
at this point in time, we can refer it, okay?
So if we refer him to Gateway Services.
No, I'm not saying, no,
No, not refer him. We'll pass it on to Gateway Services and,
Okay.
and handle the lookout.
Okay.
Don't make it more than it
And
is.
in the meanwhile, we'll try to find as
Yeah.
much information up so that we can bring up at the next advisory meeting.
Okay. 'Cause we need that.
Because his request, the Kimmy engaging the CDD attorney our Stony Brook attorney, and any necessary outside counsel to achieve, which could be Stephen Jensen, which Warren's been doing.
So this is interesting, because this is a letter from Tony, and I'll quickly touch on this. Discussion and recommendation. If the Board of Supervisors wishes, this is the board here, wishes to implement this expanded ability to tow vehicles and vessels, the following steps are suggested. And this also goes hand in hand with having Lee County Sheriff's Office come in. Review and, if necessary, revise current rules, policies, or practices concerning parking, no parking, controlled parking areas. In the vein of my opinion, the board should adopt a district towing policy resolution, in pertinent part outlining the responsibilities and authority of district staff or management with respect to towing. Designate individuals as agents designed, and that's where we're using that to have them designate Stoneybrook as its agent. As part of the preparation of the resolution, GSCDD should coordinate with Lee County and the city of Fort Myers, and I think that's in part because part of the Pelican Preserve is in Fort Myers, as well as the Lee County Sheriff's Office and the FMPD, as to any specific towing requirements of those local governments. The statute as a minimum standard does not preclude enactment of additional or stringent regulations by any municipality or county. Ensure the towing's provided, okay, that's the towing. Compliance with statutory requirements of section 715.07. Note that if GSCDD and the towing operator desired to require the owner, operator, or person to control the vehicle pay the cost, blah, blah, blah. Storage, and then the towing operator has a contract with Gateway Services authorizing for comprehensive. So let me just finish one or two more paragraphs as I scan them.
Okay.
And then this will be the end of Tony's opinion anyway. Signs prominently placed at each driveway access or curb cut out, blah, blah, blah. We know that. We know where they need to be. The entrance to the Gateway Common Pools, the entrance to Gateway Fun Park, the entrance to Gateway District Office, the entrance to Soccer Complex. If it is desired to implement a towing program as to GSCDD roads within a particular community, such as Stoneybrook, then the signs would need to be posted at the entrance to Stoneybrook. It is my opinion, and we have more than that, it's an entrance to every street. It is my opinion that maintaining, erecting, compliant tollway signs in these street locations will meet with the requirements of section 715.07 FS. Strict compliance with statutory and local requirements will permit GSCDD to remove vehicles, blah, blah, blah. Storage.
What is the?
He doesn't really, in that letter, address a specific document to be approved by Lee County. He
No, that's
refers
just
to the Lee County Sheriff's Office.
That is just strictly towing. Has nothing to do with traffic enforcement. What section is he using under that? 190 what?
Chapter 261 is amended various sections of Chapter 190. Let me see, I'll read on, hang on. See attachment Exhibit A. The subject matter of this memorandum is in the section 190.12D of the Florida statutes. Let me just see if amend attachment A. This goes into a lot of heavy-duty stuff about filing as a CDD. I don't see the attachment A. Also, I have another letter. I thought it was part of this package. It's not, but I know I have it here. I won't go through everything. Pertaining to the fact that Tony makes the recommendation that our two choices are to either, one, have the towing get the towing agreement with, our buddies over here at Gateway, or come to an agreement with Lee County and sign the document with Lee County Sheriff's Office. That's what his
Well,
recommendation was to
Tow,
Stoneybrook.
the tow,
No,
the tow.
no, for Lee County to come in and enforce parking, and
You gotta go through 316/006 to get it done. He can recommend that, that's fine, but you still gotta go through the steps to get the authorization for the sheriff to come in here to enforce traffic laws. I can understand having the sheriff come in and use them to tow the vehicle, because they can do more investigative work into the towing the vehicle than they can, but they can't. And I would question whether they would come in just to tow a vehicle. But
oh, they won't.
That's the sheriff.
No, the sheriff isn't
That's the
coming in
sheriff.
for that.
Yeah.
The
You don't need
special district has the right to do that,
Right,
enter into
right.
agreement, and we have the right to enter into an
Yeah.
agreement, and in fact, I have one right here with Redstone.
Yeah.
Although we never, I don't know if they ever signed it, the copy I have is unsigned. All right, we have to find out from Margaret and, our Tony, if any kind of an approval or agreement was ever entered into with, Lee County,
with the
not the
county,
sheriff's
yeah,
office,
yeah.
but Lee County. I'm a little shocked
if-
that,
and if someone has
And
a
if it's
copy
not,
of
then
it.
we really, I mean, now I'm talking as a board, then we really need to, because. I mean,
Yeah, we need to do
We
it,
need to
no
control
doubt.
speed, I mean, there's some issues going on in our community with people going around buses and people going around crosswalks. I mean, people are crazy out there driving. I mean, it's.
I have to tell you, I could see them having an issue with having the Lee County Sheriff's Office coming in to give out parking tickets. But speeding is speeding no matter where it occurs.
But we're still listed, we have no enforcement, it's still listed as a private roadway under the special district, or actually public under the special district, but they can't come in and patrol for traffic. They can come in and do all this other stuff, investigate murders and break-ins and that stuff like that, but they can't enforce traffic by the way the jurisdiction is, unless they approve it through the county. So because they're gonna use county funds and county stuff, don't look like that, don't look
Now,
like
what
that,
about-
no.
Now, I got a question. I do have
Yeah,
a question.
yeah.
And as a law enforcement officer, you could know this. So if they can't enforce that, and our clubhouse is technically public, or I'm sorry, it's technically private because we have not entered into an interlocal agreement with Lee County Sheriff, they can't take it for handicap parking spots then. No?
Well, probably not, I don't
No.
know, no.
No.
See, what
You can
we
only-
had to do when I was working back in the day, if we were working, say, in Stoneybrook, on a quote, private road and stuff, and we had a violation, we arrested them for reckless operation, because we could arrest people for reckless operation on private property. That was the only thing we could do, couldn't get them for speeding or stop signs or anything like that. They had to take with that, and that was a bigger penalty, that was
Right,
a
yeah.
good one, for reckless operation. But I think if we have this, then we can get them to come in and patrol. I mean, that's the whole thing.
Well, let me just say
And
this.
and for when I was talking to, I haven't talked to anybody beyond Steve Jansen, but he kinda gave me the feeling like, we've never done this before. And I didn't ask him, because he wasn't, he has to be careful what he says, because
What, hang on, what do you mean he's never done this before? Done what?
that he has not had to come out and verify that the signs meet the
Oh,
manual.
of course, now that was
Yeah.
raised, we know where that came from.
Yeah, but this
Yeah.
this was part of it at one time, that it had to be approved by the engineer, that all the signs met with the manual of uniform traffic signs. And then B, they had to talk with the sheriff and make sure he was okay with it before they would sign off. Now, he says he don't even monkey with it anymore, it goes through the county attorney and the sheriff, and they handle all that.
And I would
now.
think, and I'm hoping that we're gonna get a letter from this company that's gonna work on our signs to state that the signs are proper and at the proper height.
Well,
And I'm hoping
if
they'll
he's some
accept that.
kind of, yeah, that'd be fine, that'd be
Yeah.
great, because I've measured them, and I've matched them, and I talked with Steve today about which signs we were using and stuff. And, cause my biggest concern was the parking signs, and he said, cause our signs are 12 by 18, and under some things, they could be larger, but for our type of roadway, 12 by 18 meets the minimum, meets the requirement, and he says they even use 12 by 12 signs for
And listen,
parking.
I saw some tiny signs over
Yeah.
there on Daniels, right in front of the ballpark.
Yeah.
Where between the two entrances there, that they
Yeah.
put up no parking signs.
Yeah.
Because people apparently were
Yeah,
parking over there.
and parking there is a little bit different because they have to be 25 or 30 feet apart as they go down because of the way the parking would be.
Mm-hmm.
Ours, well, I talked to him one time, he said, well, if they were doing it, they would probably only put one sign.
Mhm.
Right
At the entrance of the community,
That'd
I
be it,
know.
no street parking,
And,
that's
and,
it.
and we've actually exceeded that. And
Yeah.
keep in mind, I'll say it again, that those signs were put in by Bill Knight, and that
Yeah.
was whatever that was recommended to Bill Knight
Yeah.
by Tony, probably.
Yeah, well, yeah, there was 12.
And there was engineer involved in that
Yeah,
decision
yeah,
too.
that was, Tetra Tech was involved in that.
All right, so,
Also South Trail too, fire department.
Huh?
South Trail Fire Department was also involved.
Yeah,
in
that
the
we,
decision.
they had correspondence from them saying that
that's
the
correct.
roadways.
Well, they had a recommendation about the height of trees and all kinds
Yeah.
of other things, and the width of the road and the amount of, one said 12 foot, one said 10 foot passing, you know, there's a little variation, I've read
And-
that, but I'll go with 12.
And when you and when you research it, you find that Fort Myers does not allow any street parking
Yeah,
in
unless
any
there's a sign.
residential area.
That's the same thing in
And-
Cape Coral.
Yeah, and nationally, that is a national guideline for builders and for traffic engineers when they lay out these developments anymore. Roadways are 20-foot wide, not built for parking, because everybody has 2 to 3 car garages and driveways and stuff, so they don't need on-street parking.
In theory, yeah.
Yeah, well,
The
yes.
problem is when you have company, what do you do?
In
I
theory.
know.
Or the problem is you build a house that has 6 bedrooms and a driveway that can only fit 2 cars.
Yeah, well, but they
There's a
do that.
couple-
Nothing has
yeah.
changed, nothing has changed since they moved in, so, you know, that's part of the problem, you know, they weren't thinking that far down the road if they were gonna be there, but again, that's a different.
So we have to contact the people here. I'll talk to Margaret. We'll talk to Tony to see
Yeah.
what they actually do have and what additional do we
Yeah,
need.
if they
in
have
terms
something
from
like
the
that,
county.
then we can get started pretty quick on
I
it.
agree. I agree. Once the signs are fixed, certified that
Yeah.
the right size and the
Yeah.
right height.
Yep, no
I
problem.
agree with that.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna move on to one more thing that I know you probably didn't get to yet, and that is my proposal, which is out of the blue, I know it, but I wanna plant some seeds, and that has to do with a land swap. The subject came up at the,
Meet the candidates.
Meet the Candidates night, and, there were some comments from the audience about just shut the water off and whatnot. But the water is only part of the expense of maintaining that property out there. In fact, in the past, it was a small percentage of the total cost. The landscaping and maintenance of that 9.9 tenths of a mile of a berm has been very expensive over the years. And I would say, at a minimum, $50,000 to $75,000, and I may be conservative. Every single time we go out and do a root drench, which we do at least once and sometimes have done twice, which is a combination of a fertilizer and a systemic treatment for whitefly and some other bugs, it's a good $10,000, $12,000 every time we do that. Just fertilizing in general, cutting the grass out there, trimming the bushes is another 10, 12 grand or more when we do it. It's a lot of money. Now, the idea is that there is a push by one individual on the Board of Supervisors to try to get Stoneybrook to take over the roads. And this, to some extent, is what has contributed to the blow-up of the no parking issue. He's trying, in my belief, to put us in a situation where we can't live with this grief of everything that's going on, and we say, okay, we'll take over the roads. Well, I don't think that would fly in our community if we put it up to a vote, but possibly now may be one of the best times to try to negotiate some kind of a reasonable agreement where there is a give and take. Because if we take over the roads, we do lose the possibility of financing through the Gateway Services District, but I'm not sure we would want to ever do that, simply because of the fact of the grief and aggravation that's created when you go to a tax-free bond. Because some people, as a knee-jerk reaction, will say, oh, that's a public road now. And I don't necessarily agree with that. But in any case, as was brought up at that meet the candidates. And I do agree with this, and I pointed it out, we do lose the free sales tax, no sales tax rights that we have when we do anything along that piece of property. Now, keep in mind, it's more than a road. We'd be taking over the sidewalks, we'd be taking over the grass areas and other common areas owned by Gateway Greens. And landscaping is subject to sales tax, among other projects that we might do. And that can easily be on an annual basis, $15,000 to $20,000. In addition to if we ever do any major projects and we do it as an HOA, we'll be taxed on it. But it puts a lot of issues to bed if we were to take that road over. Some of it having to do with parking it, some of it having to do with access to the community, which is an old hot button subject. For those of you that have been around here for a while, know that goes back. And it's not new. We've been fighting that for a long time. And I don't want to get into all the details of that, but I just want you all to think about that this may be the opportunity, simply because, and I want to say one more thing about this, there'll be another election in November. We don't know what the makeup of that Board of Supervisors will look like. This may be a much friendlier group to negotiate a deal. And with that said, does anybody have any comments?
I think the costs are, what you're saying is a little out of whack under the new contract. The mowing and trimming for that whole new contract, which includes the berm and stuff, is just $37,000 and some change. Irrigation water is gonna be a little bit more, so half of that, if you broke it down, really comes down because a lot. The current contract for Gateway to do Pebblestone and that stuff is about $118,000 a year.
That's correct, yeah, in sales tax,
So-
without sales tax, right?
Yeah, so the problem comes down, I think to sell it, and when I again read what some people are saying, and someone did run a little survey on that thing there. I don't think many people have seen it, but it was way out of whack that people don't wanna take over the roadways.
Well, that's because they don't realize, they think that Gateway's somehow gonna pay for the new road or something.
Well, yeah, we'll end up
They're
having to pay
without
for it, it
clues,
all
yeah.
comes out of the 04 fund, but
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable at this point.
Well, there won't be an 004 fund.
Well, yeah, I understand that.
That goes
But-
away, yeah.
But the whole thing comes down. I'm not comfortable with the numbers unless I can see a total breakdown of what it's going to be. And with our new contract, we're only paying $37,300 for all the landscape, all the mowing and stuff, but then all the other stuff that breaks down.
Well-
And there isn't that much stuff involved, so it
Well,
really comes down.
let's just say that's because when we do those things, there'll be extra charges. That's why I know how much they are.
No, this is their contract price. Their contract price comes out,
What are they doing for that contract price on that piece of
I
property?
think it
42,
includes
it don't have
cutting.
that property listed specifically.
The original contract that we had with Mainscape didn't have it listed separately either. But the issue is, what is included in that contract? Not the geographic area, what kinds of treatments, what
It's got it all.
trimming?
Even if you took half price, at 161, you're talking 80,000 at half price, and a lot of that isn't at that particular thing.
I'll say it again.
I think if you're gonna try to sell this, that it's gonna be a win-win for us,
I think-
then you need to get a better breakdown.
I think
of
what you're
it
not
costs.
understanding and what I'm saying, Warren, is that all those things I just listed are not in that contract. That's why you
Then
can't
they got,
just,
then how are we paying for them? How are they doing it? They don't have
we
another
were
contract.
always billed separately for them. And
Don't
it
say
went
anything about
against,
billing separately.
I'm telling you, when you talk to Joe Tarja or whoever, or we see somebody, or Terry, let's ask him, what about root drenches? How much is that gonna cost us?
The
Does
what?
that include root drench? The systemic treatment for the plants. They gotta do it behind my house too, but that becomes, and your house, if that becomes a part of the HOA for that particular
Right,
berm.
right.
The one out there, we pay a separate bill for that. It's not in the contract.
Then why, this is what totally upsets me about the HOA and the board all these little secret things that nobody knows about. Everybody's getting wonderful thing because we saved $30,000 in a contract with Mainscapes.
I
And
don't,
now we got a whole bunch of other stuff that they're gonna add on to
I
it.
don't know that. I think we need clarification on that, because that
I
was,
don't know about the treatments either on
Yeah. And I'm telling you, we need them every year. And then we gotta trim, and there's.
Well, I know I think trimming's on.
Trimming is in there, yeah.
Trimming's on there.
Trimming,
All that
okay.
stuff is in here. I mean, it was in the other contract too, and we were paying $190,000 for it, and the big deal about this whole thing is we're saving $30,000 with this contract.
I don't think Mainscape had the additional fertilizer and drenching in their contract.
It didn't. It did
Those
not.
were
That's
all-
why
those
it
were
was,
all
that
separate- those
that
were all
was
separate
additional
line
separate.
items.
They would come to us and say, listen, you guys need this, and you have to have it done. And then we would say, well, how much is that gonna cost? Because it wouldn't be in the contract, and this goes way back. And all that kind of work turned out. Sedge
I don't know
treatment,
if they- I don't know if
sedge
we-
treatment was not in the contract. Is sedge
No,
treatment in
sedge
there?
treatment is not in any contract.
I don't remember us doing any drenching last year because
Oh, it was done every year. It's done every
we
year.
haven't
I've
had
never
that
seen
many.
them do
We
anything
haven't.
down my
We
house.
had. Oh, we had a
Never
for a
seen
while
them
there.
do it
We've
down my
had
house.
some bad whiteflies in our area.
Watch the guy drive by with a big tank on the back of
Oh, I
his.
can see the spring, but when you say that
That's-
you fill it with water,
No. They refer to that as a root drench. I know, it looks a little
Okay.
weak to me
Mine-
too.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's what they're
Okay.
doing. They're actually, sometimes they're spraying weed killer, but if they're spraying it at the base of those plants, that's the root drench. And it soaks, it goes into the ground, soaks into the ground, and then it gets picked up fertilizer, and it's a systemic treatment, which makes the plant poisonous. That's the idea to the bugs. And it ain't cheap. If you ever bought that stuff in the Lowe's or Home Depot, it's expensive. It really is. Because I've done it for my hibiscus. In any case, the concept here, and there is one other thing that I really don't want to talk about right now, but that comes into play if we take over the roads. And that is that this is not gonna go away. This push for us to take over the roads is not going away. When it comes down to a different makeup of the board, the issue may come to a head, and we'll be forced into a situation that we don't wanna be in. It's just a lot easier to negotiate with the
One
current
of the
board.
one of the comments that was arised was, how does all the other communities in Gateway handle their roads? Because right now, we in Pelican are the only ones that have that share part of our roads. Well, Pelican shares part of the road.
Actually, I found out recently that all the roads in Pelican are owned by Gateway.
Gateway?
Yeah.
So us in Pelican are the only ones that are maintained by Gateway Services. So all the other communities out there can handle their roads just fine
Yeah.
and can handle
This is-
maintenance,
which
can
is-
handle.
Where I need us to head.
And I have a feeling. I think Stoneybrook actually has a stronger financial than a lot of other communities in Gateway.
Probably do. Probably do. And one of the issues is a reserve account. Someone brought that up about to be able to do the roads. I don't think anybody realizes how much that would cost to start a reserve account. And if people were complaining about $4 a month or $15 a month, let me tell you, that's chump change to set up a reserve account for a road. It's a lot better to go to the debt markets, and that is possible. You don't have to go through the CDD to get
Someone
debt.
made a comment that we're 5 years out for a road replacement, and I don't see that at all.
I think we need some patch and repair, some maybe fill in with tar a couple of places with a seal coat. That may not be a bad idea to preserve the roads. The problem is down here, not everybody agrees that's a good thing. I've seen it work up north, and I'll tell you, our driveway by the clubhouse, our parking lot, that, we have sealed that twice now and actually did little fill-ins with tar and whatnot. And that would not be nearly as bad as it is. It's much better than it would have been. That was looking really shabby after 5 or 6 years. And like I said, we've done it again since too. But I'll just take that as an example for what we could possibly do to the road to prolong any kind of repairing. And I will say this also, and I'm sure, Warren, you would agree as well as the ladies who have been here for a while. When Lennar did that second coat, it was awful. It really was an awful job. Thin, spotty, it was
you know,
awful.
they left, couldn't have been more than that, that's all they left
Oh.
on the curbing, was about a,
It
maybe
was
a half
not,
an inch.
and I gotta tell you, and the reason that happened was because they did it after turnover.
Yeah,
And at that point in time, unbeknownst to us, they had already turned those roads over to Gateway. So when the board got together and spent money, you remember there was an engineering firm hired, I think, who was it? Chris Pacito was in charge of that committee, what a waste. But, they spent about $12,000, as I recall, to do an engineering study on all the problems in the community, and one of them was the roads. So we initiated a lawsuit. A couple of years went by before it finally happened. And Lennar just looked at us and said, you don't have any standing, you don't own those roads. Gateway does. We went to Gateway to try to get them to sue. And Tony dragged his feet on it. And they had another lawsuit with Lennar somewhere else in the community in Gateway, and they got their butt kicked. After that, our lawsuit kind of faded away and never happened. So that's where we stand. So we're stuck with a substandard road from day one. And unfortunately, not much we can do. And I agree, it hasn't been there that long. I think they paved it, did the final thing, what, 2008, something like that? The final lift?
I don't remember when it was.
I know it was after turnover.
Yeah, yeah. But they, yeah, it was obvious they weren't gonna do much, cause there's only that much forever until they finally did that.
And
That seems to be the standard though anymore,
Yeah.
about that much room.
In Florida, I guess. And a couple other things. And remember, there was only one sidewalk. We didn't have the cement sidewalk, and what they did to put that in was terrible. And there were no crosswalks. We had to fight to get the crosswalks down at Stone Valley and Gateway and Greenstone, and then one over at Gemstone. And then we still didn't have any in the middle of the community, and finally, when Al Abdo came along is when we got that
Or
done.
the sign crosswalks.
Actually, we did it here.
Well, but we were instrumental in getting it done, because
Yeah.
that was the big thing, getting
Yeah.
people back and forth. Probably could use another one somewhere.
Well, the problem was that there were no roads other than a road at Pebblebrook and Stone Valley that came together.
Yeah.
So there was nowhere to put it.
Yeah.
I went with Al Abdo, and we identified spots where the road where the dirt had a minimum amount of slope, went from one road to a low area, and then they cut the curbs and put in the handicap slopes and other stuff. And I think they actually paid for it, too. I think Gateway paid for it. I remember getting hit with that one. But in any case, that's the story. I'm afraid that the day's gonna come, we're not gonna have a choice on this. Okay? Just be aware of that.
Joe,
And I'll-
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When you were talking about the land swap and listening to the geographic area, you said the word Gateway Greens, and that threw me off.
There's a misstatement if I said
Okay,
Gateway
because I'm
Greens.
thinking,
Yeah,
I'm thinking
Gateway.
here, so is there
Yeah.
any way we can see the specific area that you're talking
The
about?
east side of the area that we're talking about to give them would be the east side of that berm that fronts on 82.
And how do we get a copy of
I would
that?
get a copy of, well, you gotta get a map of Gateway, I guess, or Stoneybrook. And
Go on
show it
Google
up.
Earth and just print a copy
Yeah,
out.
that's true, too.
Well, I want to make sure I'm printing the right thing, the specific area that you're saying.
From the monument all the way down, all the way along gate 82, all the way down to Hampton Park, to our back gate.
Okay.
All right, anything else? Anybody else have any comments, board member or committee member comments?
I have a question, and I don't know how to describe this, because I do house sitting, pet sitting, so I'm up and down the streets all the time. So I took a picture of this today. The way I'm describing this is, first of all, we need, you know how the homeowners do the mulch, and then they do the, is it the straw? What is it?
Pine straw.
Pine straw. So as I'm walking, I've noticed it for months and months, thinking, okay, it's coming up soon. Well, nothing's being done. It's like down to the dirt, all the roots are hanging out, and I'm thinking, when's the last time we did some type of a root pruning? And even the hedges that were just cleaned and done recently, there's no dirt or pine straw put back. It just seems like over a month, and I'm thinking, how can something sit there that long and not be taken care of?
What's a
Like,
root
who's
pruning?
on the list? I'm talking about the main trees when you're just walking down the
Yeah, but
sidewalk.
what's a
All
root-
these are
What's
exposed.
a root pruning?
But sometimes they'll like just trim them back.
The
like-
roots?
Yeah, go into the roots, and so they don't keep going towards the road or the sidewalk. That's what we used to do in our yard, so they
Where?
wouldn't go towards the pipes, my
Where?
old house. I'm
Which
just
is
saying.
where? Here?
Florida,
Oh, in Florida?
yeah.
Because pruning the
Cypress,
roots
like-
down here, you get a little bit dangerous because you weaken the tree and it can make it easier to blow it over.
Okay, so here's my next thought.
Yeah.
Okay, if they don't do that, can they add more dirt? I mean, you just can't like throw straw on that anymore. I think there's gotta be a level of dirt added, and we're talking, I don't know, 40 trees down, all the way down Pebblebrook. But every one of the trees are exposed like that. It's like, over time,
The heavy
the
rains
soil goes away.
washes the soil away. Yeah.
So,
It's not that untypical. I don't know, that's something that we would have to have them or us sit down with Mainscape, because Mainscape is still doing that area, and take a look at it, but.
okay, and this is like a whole different issue when all of that trimming's been done and all the pine straw's gone. And I'm thinking, okay, I've been walking dogs down that street for over a month and it's looked like that, thinking, okay,
But they only do that twice a year, the pine straw.
No, they actually do it more often than that.
Yeah,
Oh, they do?
I think it might be done every quarter, the pine straw, because it only lasts about a month, month and a half. So you
So-
do
They
it once a
only do it
quarter.
twice a year.
So it could sit that way for 3
Once.
months.
Once.
We don't know,
Basically, we're
right?
trying to get
When
it
the last
twice.
time it was done?
We'll get it again.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that,
Wow.
let's put it this way. The people who are cutting the grass, getting that kind of thing is done, it depends upon how attentive the foreman or the boss in the community is reviewing things. Because the guys riding around the lawnmowers and doing this handwork, they're not making work for themselves, and they're not looking to really turn that kind of thing.
Well, that's why I
in.
thought, they
So
can only
we'd have to bring that
do
up.
so much, but there's gotta, you just can't keep like pretending you don't see that. You have to put dirt on top of that. You've gotta, something has to be done, not just throw pine straw on that. It's just gonna get worse.
I think it's something we can talk about, and maybe bring it to, maybe email something to me with a picture, and I'll forward it to Mainscape if you'd like.
Should I do the customer service here or just to you directly?
I'll go directly to Mainscape with that. I know who to send it to.
Okay,
And I believe that,
Thank
what's his, Freddie? I don't think Freddie's there anymore.
No, I haven't seen it
Yeah.
for a while.
I think they got somebody else. I'm not sure who that is, but I'll go to Zane.
and those trees have been exposed like that, I think, like
A long
2
time.
months.
I agree, and you can probably walk in any community in here and see the same thing. But we can try to take a look at it, see what we can do.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Move to
Take a
adjourn.
motion?
I'll second it.
All right, we got Warren Davies, make a motion to adjourn. Oh, boy, and JT Thomas to second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Shut your devices off for a second.
Next meeting is April 8th,
Eighth,
Yes.
correct.
2020.